The Ravens walked into Week 2 with a message to send, and John Harbaugh made sure it was delivered loud and clear. When the inactives list came out and Jaire Alexander's name was on it, it raised some eyebrows. No injury designation, no warning signs, just a surprise scratch. But as it turns out, there was nothing random about that decision. That was a head coach making a call not just for one player, but for the long-term vision of his team. And whether fans like it or not, that's the kind of leadership that wins championships. After the game, Harbaugh didn't dodge the question. He addressed it directly, unprompted, making it known that Alexander was pushing hard to play, but the decision came down to one simple truth. He wasn't ready. Not in football shape. Not yet. And Harbaugh wasn't about to risk his player or the integrity of the team's performance just to appease anyone's urgency. That's the type of calculated move you expect from a coach who's been through wars, who's seen how one premature decision can lead to months of regret. And frankly, it was refreshing. Let's be honest. Jaire Alexander is a baller. He's proven that. He's got the instincts, the IQ, and the athleticism to be one of the best in the game. But this isn't about talent. This is about availability. It's about putting your body through training camp, conditioning it, preparing it for the grind of an NFL season, not just physically, but mentally. And when you miss that time, when you're coming off a knee injury, there's no shortcut to getting back. You can't just show up on Sunday and flip a switch. That's not how this league works. And clearly, the Ravens understand that better than most. Remember, this franchise has been on the wrong end of these situations before. Think back to that nightmare practice in 2021. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Marcus Peters, all down with major injuries. Since then, this organization has taken a more cautious approach with player health. It's not about being soft. It's about being smart. And that philosophy was on full display with Jaire Alexander. Harbaugh's message wasn't just for him. It was for every guy in that locker room. You want to be out there? Earn it. Be ready. Be fully conditioned. Because anything less isn't fair to you, and it isn't fair to the team. The timing of it all matters, too. Because on Sunday, the Ravens didn't need Jaire Alexander to shut down Cleveland. The secondary showed up. Nate Wiggins was everywhere. Marlon Humphrey, before exiting with a groin injury, looked like his usual self. TJ Tampa and Chidobe Awuzie stepped in and made plays. The depth in that defensive backfield is real, and it showed. Even Joe Flacco, a veteran who's seen it all, looked uncomfortable all game long. The Ravens brought pressure, and the coverage was tight. And when a guy like Jaire isn't fully ready, that kind of performance makes it a whole lot easier to justify sitting him down. It's important to note that Harbaugh didn't question Alexander's heart. He praised him, said he's going to play great football for the Ravens this year. But he also made it clear, there are no exceptions when it comes to being prepared. You don't get a free pass based on reputation. You've got to be able to move, react, and play at full speed. That's how you avoid mistakes. That's how you stay healthy. And that's how you help your team win. Now, let's not pretend Alexander didn't want to be out there. He's a competitor. After a rocky performance in Week 1, you know he wanted redemption. But here's the reality. Throwing him back in too early could have done more harm than good. The last thing you want is a player pressing on a knee that's not fully right. Or worse, trying to play through it and doing long-term damage. That's a gamble not worth taking. And Harbaugh clearly wasn't about to roll the dice. Think about it this way. Training camp isn't just a formality. It's not just warm-ups and walkthroughs. It's where conditioning is built. It's where schemes are learned. It's where chemistry develops. And when you miss that window, especially on a new team, you're behind. You might be physically cleared, but football shape is a different animal. Guys like Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton were flying around the field on Sunday. That's the standard. That's what playing at a high level looks like. And if you can't match that intensity, you're not helping anybody. Not yourself, not your teammates, not your coaches. Let's also be real about what happens when a player forces himself onto the field too soon. The performance dips. The confidence drops. The fans start asking questions. And suddenly, a star's reputation takes a hit. Not because they forgot how to play, but because they weren't ready. It's a lose-lose situation, and Harbaugh knows that all too well. That's why the decision to sit Jaire was the right one, even if it wasn't the popular one. And it wasn't just Alexander who sat out. Isaiah likely returned to practice, but didn't play either. Same logic applies, no rush. Let these guys ramp up, get back into rhythm, and then unleash them when the time is right. That's how you build something sustainable. That's how you make sure your best players are at their best when it really matters. Looking back at Week 1, it was clear Alexander wasn't himself. Missed assignments, late reactions, plays he usually makes with ease just didn't happen. That's not who he is, and it's not who the Ravens need him to be. So instead of putting him back out there just to check a box, they hit pause, told him to reset, told him to get right. And that decision paid off, because the guys who stepped in held it down. The defense didn't miss a beat. In fact, they played their best game of the season so far. And again, this isn't about whether Jair Alexander is better than TJ Tampa or Cheeto Awuzie. He is. That's not up for debate. But availability always trumps potential. You've got to earn your snaps. And that message being sent from the top down sets the tone for the whole locker room. No free rides. No exceptions. Everyone's held to the same standard. While the message to Jair Alexander was clear, what followed on the field was even louder. The Ravens came out with an intensity that had been missing in Week 1, and the defense led the charge. Lamar Jackson, ever the leader, gave his own version of a mic drop after the game. When asked about the defense, he simply said, "They looked extremely mature today." And that wasn't just a compliment, it was a statement. A response to the narrative that had started to build after the loss to Buffalo, when questions about leadership, discipline, and consistency had surfaced. Lamar wasn't just defending his guys. He was confirming what everyone saw with their own eyes on Sunday. This Ravens defense came to play, and they came with something to prove. The maturity Lamar talked about wasn't just in the big plays. It was in the details. It was in the way the secondary locked down the Browns' receivers. It was in the way the pass rush stayed relentless, even when the sack numbers didn't tell the whole story. It was in the way Roquan Smith flew to the football like a man possessed, setting the tone from the opening snap. There was a different energy to this group, a confidence that only comes when you know you're prepared, when you've been through adversity and come out the other side stronger. There were flashes of brilliance. Nate Wiggins with his interception, Tavius Robinson with the strip sack, but it was the collective effort that stood out. This defense didn't rely on one guy to save the day. It was swarming. It was cohesive. And more than anything, it was fast. Every time Joe Flacco dropped back, you could see the clock ticking in his head. He wasn't comfortable. He wasn't in rhythm. And part of that was the coverage. Part of that was the pressure. But the real story was how connected those two things were. Because when your corners stick like glue, your pass rush gets home. When your edge guys win fast, quarterbacks panic. That's how you dominate. And that's exactly what the Ravens did. And Joe Flacco knew it. He reverted to check-down mode, something Ravens fans know all too well. The Browns' offense stalled drive after drive because nothing downfield was open. The few shots they took were either off target, covered up, or dropped. Jerry Jeudy's comments during the week about the Ravens' secondary not being a challenge? They aged poorly. Jeudy finished with 4 catches for 51 yards, a quiet day that included a costly drop. And if we're being honest, it felt like the Ravens' defense took those comments personally. They played like a unit that wasn't just trying to win a game. They were trying to send a message of their own. Even when Marlon Humphrey went down with a groin injury, the secondary didn't flinch. Con Martin, Teddy Buchanan, Mike Green, guys stepped up. They stayed locked in. They executed. And it wasn't flashy. It was disciplined. That's what maturity looks like. You don't panic when your leader goes out. You don't crumble when depth is tested. You rise up and play your role. That's what won this game for Baltimore. And let's not overlook Roquan Smith. This was the version of him the Ravens traded for. 15 tackles. A scoop and score. Endless energy. The guy was flying all over the field. He looked like he was everywhere at once. And it wasn't just the production, it was the attitude. The fire. The leadership. You could tell he wanted to set the tone. And he did. The Ravens needed that. Because after Week 1, the noise was starting. People questioning whether he had lost a step, whether he could be that tone setter on a weekly basis. Sunday was his answer. And it was loud. After the game, Roquan talked about how that fumble recovery took him back to his high school running back days. He was smiling, joking. You could tell he was in his element. That's what this team needs. Guys who can shake off the criticism, use it as fuel, and respond the right way. And Roquan did just that. He wasn't alone either. Adaf Oa had a disruptive day. Tavius Robinson had his breakout moment. Mike Green nearly notched his first sack. The defensive line, the linebackers, the secondary, they all fed off each other. And it wasn't just the defense. Special teams made their impact too. Jalen Armour Davis blocked a punt that changed the momentum of the game. Jordan Stout had some beautiful punts that flipped field position. And even though Derrick Henry was bottled up on the ground, he found another way to contribute. His pass protection was elite. Multiple times, he picked up blitzers that could have ruined drives. One play in particular, deep in the Ravens' own territory, Henry stonewalled a rusher and gave Lamar just enough time to get the ball out. Those are the little things that win games. That's the type of unselfish play you expect from a veteran who knows what it takes to win. And speaking of Lamar, he didn't have his flashiest day, but somehow he walked away with 4 touchdown passes and a quarterback rating of over 128. It didn't feel like a typical Lamar explosion, but that's the scary part. He didn't have to play at his peak, and the Ravens still dropped 41 points. That's how you know this team is growing. That's how you know they're getting dangerous. Because for most of the first half, the offense looked a little out of sync. The run game couldn't get going. Timing on throws was slightly off. Lamar missed a couple of targets. Yet every time the Ravens needed a big play, someone stepped up. Tez Walker had 2 catches, both for touchdowns. Zay Flowers was the go-to guy all afternoon, pulling in 7 receptions for 75 yards. Tylan Wallace made the most of his chances, recovering a fumble and scoring a touchdown on the very next play. These weren't just highlight moments. These were culture plays, guys stepping in, doing their jobs, and capitalizing when it mattered most. And then there's the stat that deserves a little more attention. Lamar Jackson now holds the highest career passer rating in NFL history. Higher than Aaron Rodgers. Higher than anyone who's ever played the position. That might fluctuate week to week, but even being in that position says a lot about who Lamar is as a quarterback. He's not just a runner. He's not just a playmaker. He's efficient. He's smart. He takes care of the ball. And he elevates the people around him. It's easy to take that for granted when you see it every week, but we shouldn't. What Lamar is doing right now deserves recognition, and the scary part is, he's still getting better. The Ravens' offense didn't even scratch the surface of what it could be. And yet, they finished with over 40 points. That's not normal. That's not something most teams can do. This was a team win in every sense of the word. Defense forced turnovers. Special teams made momentum plays. And the offense, even on an off day, found ways to finish drives. That's how you win in this league. You don't need perfection. You need execution. You need depth. You need guys who can step in and step up when the lights are on. And the Ravens showed all of that on Sunday. They didn't just beat the Browns. They imposed their will. They played with discipline, with physicality, and with a renewed sense of purpose. This looked like a team that remembered who they are. And maybe more importantly, remembered who they're trying to become. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. In a shocking twist that has sent shockwaves through the NFL world, whispers are circulating that Michael Pierce, the fearsome defensive tackle known for his bone-crushing presence on the line, has abruptly called off his retirement plans and is rumored to have agreed to stay with the Baltimore Ravens. Sources close to the team hint that what started as informal discussions could soon turn into an official announcement, leaving fans and analysts scrambling to make sense of this sudden reversal. Pierce, who had publicly suggested that he might hang up his cleats after last season, seemed poised to step away from the grind of professional football. Yet, insiders claim the allure of another run at glory with the Ravens, and the possibility of mentoring the next generation of defensive stars, proved too strong to resist. The murmurs suggest that negotiations have been smooth, with the organization reportedly offering incentives and a role that acknowledges his leadership both on and off the field. If true, this would mark one of the more dramatic about-faces in recent NFL history. Pierce's decision could reshape Baltimore's defensive front, providing the team with a veteran anchor capable of disrupting quarterbacks and commanding double teams. Fans have taken to social media, speculating wildly about what this means for the Ravens' playoff hopes, and whether Pierce's return signals a renewed commitment to chase a championship. While neither Pierce nor the Ravens have confirmed the deal, the intensity of the rumors has already sparked heated debates in sports circles. Some suggest that this could be a negotiating tactic, while others are betting that Pierce genuinely missed the camaraderie and competitiveness that only the NFL can provide. One thing is certain. If Michael Pierce truly returns to Baltimore, the Ravens are not just gaining a player. They're reclaiming a cultural icon whose presence resonates far beyond the stats sheet. For now, fans are left hanging on every cryptic tweet, every insider tip, and every press hint, as the football world waits for the official word. Could Michael Pierce's sensational comeback be the spark Baltimore needs for another deep playoff run? If the rumors hold true, the NFL is about to witness the resurgence of one of its most intimidating forces. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.